Here we have a really nice Bentwood settee. It's from the 1890s or so. There's remains of a sticker on the bottom. We know that this was manufactured by Joseph Hoffman in Vienna, and that's not to be confused with Joseph Hoffman, the architect and designer, who designed furniture during that period in a different style. This is more the Thonette style. The seat is supposed to be a hand cane seat, and someone upholstered it. We're going to remove the upholstery, restore the seat frame, and cane it. It's got a few problems in the frame, the seat frame. It's missing a stretcher, so I've got to reproduce a stretcher. And I think the frame must be broken through here, and someone added a huge block of wood, which wasn't a terrible idea, but I need to redo that and make it a little more elegant, especially when it has caning in there and you can see it.
And now I'm putting the screws right back in the same holes that I got them from.
Okay, now this is the area where the sticker was, what remains of the sticker, and we covered that with wax paper and then packing tape to protect it. So now the next step is to get rid of this big piece of oak that's on here to figure out what's going on underneath of it. I thought when this block came off it would be real obvious as why it was on there, and it's not real obvious. At first I don't see anything wrong here, but there is evidence of a crack on the front. It's been refinished over, so it must have been before this piece was refinished. There's a crack here. I think I see a crack here, and but it seems really strong now. I think though that I will route into this area and add some new wood. It's been very much destroyed by the tacks of the upholstery. I think I will go in and put some new wood in there. At the same time, on the back of the seat where the original joint was when they bent this and put it together, that joint is also loose. I'm going to epoxy that back together. I may or may not add some wood back there to help strengthen that.
Now I can see more clearly where that crack was through this frame. It comes down here and it was shattered along in here, and that's why they put that big block of wood on there. I'm basically doing the same kind of thing but a little more elegantly. I'm going to glue on my new piece here, the scarf joint, with epoxy. I'm also going to glue that back joint with epoxy also. When this seat is caned and that cane starts to tighten up, I don't want this thing to come apart. Now I'm going to use the same epoxy that has thickener and color in it to fill in all these tack holes from the upholstery, and also to fill in these areas where wood is missing between the holes.
Alright, now I've got to sand down all my epoxy filler and shape my piece I scarfed in here.
I've still got plenty of sanding to do on this frame, but now I want to recreate the missing stretcher. The first thing I got to do is they have a round mortise here, so I'm going to create the same thing on this side. Okay, so I've cut my round tenons, but these shoulders or the sides of this frame aren't square. The top is a shorter dimension, the bottom is longer. So I cut my shoulders to the longer dimension, and now I've got to measure it and cut these back at an angle. So I've got to cut these shoulders back at an angle now. Joints all cut, my shoulders cut at an angle, so let me put it in. I've got to put this in dry without glue, because I have to shape this before I glue it in. Alright. Now I've got to mark this out. This has to be level with the frame, and this needs to have a curve in it to conform to the seat when someone sits in it. So first thing I'll do is I'll mark it even right here. I'm not sure how to make this curve. I don't want to make just a radius with the low point in the middle. I don't feel that that's right. I think when you sit in this bench, your butt bone is closer to the back of the piece, and so that maybe the low point should be about here, and I'm going to make the low point a ½ inch low. I'm going to make the low point about there, and so this curve I'm going to cut is actually going to be some sort of a compound radius. I kind of like the shape of this. See, it's okay. I'm giving the edges of my stretcher as much of a round over as I can to make it sort of fit with the Bentwood furniture. I'm using 5-minute epoxy on these joints because they're not really very good joints, and I think they're going to need everything they can get. So I've sanded all the repair areas, and then I've gone over them, and I'm staining them with a dye stain. It seems to be matching the original color pretty well. Okay, now I'm going to give this a couple of coats of shellac, and then it'll be ready for the caner. Okay, the seat has come back from the caners now. Absolutely beautiful caning job. And these newly caned seats have lots of hair and burrs all over them, which I need to get off. I'm going to torch them off before I stain it. And now I'm looking for any fibers that I might have missed with the torch. I'm going to apply just a light golden oak stain to give it a little bit of color. And when you're staining cane, always stain the underside as well, only because it just looks sloppy. I'm going to apply one thin coat of shellac to the cane just to seal in that stain. Okay, so now it's time to reassemble the settee. Alright, there it is, all done. The caner did a great job on the seat. Looks pretty good.